Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. Faster, Pussycat, Kill, Kill is a 1965 exploitation film that was directed by Russ Meyer. It was also co-written by him and Jack Moran. The movie is known for its violence, provocative women, and eminently quotable dialogue. The film, upon its release, was a commercial and critical failure, but it has since become widely regarded as an important and influential film and has a huge cult following. The storyline follows sadistic go-go dancers Varla, played by Tura Satana, Rosie, played by Haji, and Billy, played by Laurie Williams, as they break free from the nightclub where they perform and they race out into the desert to stir up a little mayhem. After karate expert Varla kills an innocent man, the voluptuous trio take his girlfriend, played by Susan Bernard, hostage as they attempt to wheedle a hidden fortune from an old man and his muscle-bound, brain-damaged son. The project was a follow-up to an earlier Meyer film. He had just done a movie called Motor Psycho, which was about three bad boys, and that film went right through the roof. So his thinking was, let's do one about three bad girls. The screenplay is credited to Jack Moran, with an original story from Russ Meyer himself. The first draft was titled The Leather Girls, and it was written over a brief 4-day period by Moran. The screenplay then went through a second working title. That was called The Man Killers, and it had already begun production when the sound editor, a guy named Richard Brumer, came up with the now immortal final title. When Russ Meyer was asked why they gave the film this name, he claimed that it had everything that the title says in it. It contains speed, which is the word faster. It contains sex, which is the word pussycat, and violence, with the two words kill, kill. Now, when it came down to casting, Haji had worked with Meyer on Motor Psycho, and she ended up recommending Tura Satana to him. The director originally didn't want to hire Laurie Williams because he didn't think she had a big enough bust. She told him that she could use a push-up in her bra, which she did, but he didn't know whether that would actually work. And then in rehearsals, he finally said okay. It was made on a modest, meager budget of $45,000, and it was shot in black and white to save money. I have to admit, you can say what you want about the storyline for the movie, but the cinematography is really pretty good, and that kind of makes it really fun to watch. For years, I have seen the name of this film pop up on databases, and I've never watched it. But recently, I not only watched it once, later on, I watched it again. The movie began shooting at the Pussycat Club, a strip club in Van Nuys, California, before moving on to the California desert later on that night. The film's first racing scene was shot on the dry salt flats of Cuddyback Lake. The gas station scene was filmed in the town of Randsburg, and the scene at the old man's house was shot at a ranch outside the town of Mojave. During principal photography, the cast and crew stayed at the Adobe Motel, which is actually located in Mojave. The director Meyer got his start in making films while serving in the U.S. Army's Signal Photographic Company during the Second World War, and he had a reputation for running strictly regimented film shoots with a small crew composed largely of former Army buddies. And Meyer's directorial style and the rules that he imposed on the cast and crew often caused clashes with the more strong-willed people on the set. On this production, there was a lot of friction between Susan Bernard and her director, and also her co-stars. Much of this was attributed to the presence of her mother on the set. This was all brought about because she was just 16 years old at the time. Bernard actually said in interviews after the film that she was truly scared of the actress Satana, and some have thought that this contributed to her performance as a frightened kidnapped victim. Tura Satana said in a 2004 interview that regardless of the exploitation and sexual themes in his films and the way he portrayed female characters, she always felt that Russ Meyer was a feminist at heart. She states that he loved to make women look good, and that she's never seen any girls in his films look bad. The men in his movies were always incapacitated in some way. They were either in a wheelchair or on crutches or short of a full deck. He liked his women to be very strong and make them feel like they were empowered. In the catfight scene between Rosie and Billy, the director told them not to rehearse in order to add realism to the scene. The only precaution he took was giving them directions not to hit each other. Because the fight was real, you can see things such as genuine hair pulling and each woman throwing sand in the other's face. The movie's lead actress, Tura Satana, legally owned her image and likeness. So whenever Russ Meyer wanted to change the artwork on any of the posters or re-release the film, he had to get permission to do so and sometimes pay her royalties all over again. Now, the young actress Sue Bernard posed naked for Playboy in December, 1 year after this film was released, when she was only 17 years old. Now, I find this fact so bizarre in my research, but I keep seeing it come up. I don't know how you can let a 17-year-old pose nude unless they got some kind of release from her parents. At the time, she states that she was still a virgin and had never been without clothes in front of anyone other than her mother before. She posed for a photographer named Mario Casilla, who had been an apprentice of her father, Bruno Bernard, who was a photographer. She had met Casilla a few times years before, so she felt like it was really weird taking off her clothes in front of a man she had known as a young girl. Even more ironic was that she was Jewish and posing in a December issue. She's often stated that she was the first under 18 Jewish virgin who was the centerfold placed in front of a Christmas tree. Go back and take a look at this film. It's definitely one you need to see just to say you've seen it. It is fairly corny, but there's still something that's good about it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.